this second video, we're going to look at how you actually type or enter information into your worksheet. We're ultimately going to be showing some information about producing some sandwiches for an imaginary cafe. But whatever you're going to do, it's quite useful to have headings to indicate what the figures you're going to put in a worksheet is all about. So I'd like to type a heading. In order to do any typing, you basically type into a cell. Our currently active cell is A1 because it's a brand new workbook. So you remember the border around the cell indicates that it's active. Basically, I can use my keyboard and start typing straight away. When you finish typing the information that you want contained in that particular cell, press your enter key on the keyboard, or return if you call it return. So here you can see that I've got the value sandwich type. When I pressed enter, the active cell automatically has gone down to row 2, and you can see the words, but can you see that the words look as if they're going into column B? They don't actually go into column B. Let me show you. If I select the first cell in column B, so cell B1, and I type the next heading required, and then enter, with my mouse pointer away so you can see what's happened. So it looks as if only the word sandwich appears in column A. And this is because column A is not wide enough. How else would I be able to find out what's in there if the column wasn't actually wide enough? Let me show you. If you click on any cell with information on it in your worksheet, that becomes the active cell. I can see information appearing here in the cell, but look in the formula bar. The formula bar shows me exactly what is contained within that cell. Everyone thinks the formula bar is all about formulas. It's not. It's showing you exactly what a cell contains. So here, this indicates that cell A1, that whole column, isn't wide enough to show me what is contained within it. So I'm going to have to make that particular column wider. I'm going to move my mouse pointer. Now, as I'm moving my mouse pointer, it's changing shape depending on where I am. I'm going to move up into the column heading. Here the shape is that of a black pointing down arrow. In actual fact, that allows me to select the whole column, but I really want to change the width. So I need to move the mouse pointer to the line between the headings of column A and B. It must be in the column heading. If I'm not in the column heading, if I'm down here, the mouse pointer is the wrong shape. Up we go again and across. So the mouse pointer shape needs to be a black line with a black arrow to the left and the right. When we've got that showing, you left click and then drag your mouse across. You can see an imaginary line for the new width of the column and also the width in pixels showing on the screen. So drag it to where you think might be a suitable place and then release. There you go, we've now changed the width of column A. So while I'm doing this, I might as well change the width of column B. So again, up to the column heading and across to the line between those two columns, B and C this time. Left click and drag to make that a little bit wider. I'll continue typing my headings. When you finish typing in a cell, you can press enter as I've shown you before, but if you know you want to go to the right to do some information in the next cell, you can actually find the tab key on your computer keyboard. It's above the caps lock. It's got an arrow pointing to the right on it, so if you give that one press, it moves the active cell to the next cell on the right. There we go, some more information. Now if at this point you think, oh, I could do with this column to be a little bit wider, you've got to be careful because my mouse pointer isn't coming up with the right shape. Because I'm still in the mode for typing in that cell, I can't change the column width. So you've got to make sure when you want to change the width of your column, you click elsewhere on your worksheet and then you can move your mouse pointer into the column heading between the the two columns and click and drag. Okay, so you must be outside of that cell in order to change the column width. Just going to put some more information in here. Oops. As I'm typing in the cell, if I make a mistake, I can just use the backspace and then enter in the correct information. Once I've entered that information in by pressing the enter button, how do you change it now? So to change something that's already been typed, there are a number of ways. I'm going to show you to click on the cell that you want to change, look in the formula bar, click once in the formula bar and you get your cursor insertion shape, and you can move the cursor. I'm using the arrows on the keyboard for this particular one, and I'm going to add another word. And again, when I finish typing it, press enter. Okay, my column's not wide enough again, so I move on to the heading, drag it across. Let me show you how to make a change to information already contained in a cell. So click on the cell, then click into the formula bar, and you can add or remove any information. And then once you've entered that information in, you can change the widths of your columns. At some stage, quite early on, it's a good idea to save your work, just to make sure that if there's a power failure, when you open up Excel again, you've got at least what you've been working on within the next few minutes, within the last few minutes, sorry. So to save something in Excel, you go up to your File menu, down to Save, and then I'm going to press Browse, so I get my little Save As dialog box coming up. I'm going to select where I want this information to be saved, Documents, and then in the file name, I'm going to give it a name. Once I've typed the name, save. And the new name of the file is displayed on the Excel title bar, and that is saved. I can now continue working on that. But let me just recap what we've explained in this particular session. We've looked at typing into a cell, so you click on a cell and just use the keyboard to type whatever information you want contained in it. Press enter when you've finished. If the column itself isn't wide enough, you go up to the column heading, across, and click and drag that line to make it wider or narrower. And if you want to change the content of what's in your cell, click on a cell and then click in the formula bar, and you can use your backspace to remove characters. You can add characters. Oops. And again, when you've finished, you can press the Enter key and correct any column widths if you need to. In the next tutorial, we'll have a look at how you can change the formatting of this information.